Chapter 1. The Beast and His Throne. Blood dripped from the edge of Lucien's claws, slow and deliberate, like time itself feared to move in his presence. The hall was silent. No one dared breathe. Before him knelt the traitor, once a loyal beta, now trembling beneath the weight of his king's stare. Lucien rose. The sound of metal on stone echoed like thunder. "You lied to me," he said, quiet, calm, deadly. "And you know what my touch does to liars." The man sobbed. "Mercy, my king." Lucien's hand closed around his throat. A pulse of black fire flared, and the man fell still. The court shuddered. Fear was peace. At least that's what Lucien told himself. Because peace built on fear never breaks, right? But then, the scent hit him. Wild honey. Mortal. Fragile. Human. A messenger stumbled into the throne room, bowing so low his forehead touched the floor. "A girl, my king, a mortal, sold at the eastern market. The council calls her tribute." Lucien's jaw tightened. Another mortal sacrifice. Another reminder of the world's cruelty. He waved a clawed hand. "Send her away." But the messenger's next words froze him. "She carries a mark, the moon's mark. The priests believe it was meant for you." For the first time in decades, Lucien's heart stuttered. His wolf stirred, restless, hungry, curious. Because of that, the room suddenly felt too small. His pulse too loud. He dismissed the court with a single command. "Bring her to me at dusk." As the doors closed, his reflection in the obsidian floor stared back, cold, hollow-eyed, monstrous. Still, somewhere deep inside, a whisper rose. Maybe it was fate. And just like that, the first crack in the beast's armor appeared. Chapter 2. The Arrival of the Mortal. The chains clinked before she appeared, slight, pale, and barefoot against the black marble. Her chin was high though defiant. No fear in her eyes. Just fire. Lucien leaned back on his throne, studying her. "You are the tribute?" She didn't bow. "I am Ilara." The court gasped. No mortal spoke to the king that way. Yet even so, her voice didn't tremble. "Do you know what I am?" Lucien asked, voice low. "A beast," she said. "But beasts can bleed too." His wolf surged, clawing at his chest. The scent of her blood carried warmth he hadn't felt in centuries. "Do you mock me?" he growled. She met his eyes. "No. I pity you." That word cut deeper than any blade. In the span of a breath, the hall blurred, her heartbeat loud in his ears. The bond pulsed, faint but unmistakable. His wolf howled inside him. No. Impossible." He rose abruptly. "Take her to the east tower," he ordered. The guards hesitated, startled by the crack in his voice. "Now." As they led her away, she turned once, her gaze catching his. "Your eyes," she whispered. "They weren't always this cold." And before either could speak, she was gone. Lucien stood frozen, every nerve burning. The silence roared. His beast whispered her name, Ilara. Something inside him shifted. Chapter 3. The Mirror and the Memory. That night the castle slept, except the king. Lucien stood before the ancient mirror in his chamber, moonlight bleeding through the window. His reflection wavered, beast and man layered over one another. He hated both. The girl's face haunted him. Her words echoed like ghosts. They weren't always this cold. He remembered another woman, golden eyes, laughter like rain. His mate. Dead by his hand, centuries ago. "What are you doing to me?" he whispered, gripping the mirror's edge until it cracked beneath his claws. His wolf prowled restlessly. "She smells like the first one." "No," Lucien snarled. "She's nothing like her." Yet the lie burned his throat. When he closed his eyes, her image flashed again, Ilara beneath the torchlight, unafraid. The spark in her gaze, the steady rhythm of her heart. It called to something long buried. And then, the dream began. Blood. Moonlight. A woman's voice calling his name from the dark. Lucien, soft aching. Familiar. He woke gasping, claw marks shredded into his sheets, the scent of her still on his skin. Truth be told, he didn't know what scared him more, that the dream felt real, or that part of him wanted it to be. Because of that, dawn found him staring out over his shadowed kingdom, whispering words he hadn't dared speak in centuries. "What have you done to me, Moon?" Chapter 4, The Awakening Bond. Dawn came red. Always red. Lucien stood on the balcony watching mist coil through the valley below his citadel. The world slept under his command, yet he barely closed his eyes. Every time he did, he saw her. He heard her heartbeat through stone and shadow. Soft, human, alive. The curse inside him, that black flame born of ancient sin, twisted differently now. Where it once devoured, it now reached. He clenched the railing. "She's mortal," he muttered to himself. "She will die. Like the last one." But his wolf didn't listen. It prowled restless. Go to her. By the time he reached the east tower, dawn light painted the corridors in gold. He found her by the window, barefoot again, hair tangled with sleep, wrapped in a threadbare cloak the servants had given her. She didn't turn when he entered. "You shouldn't sneak up on people, Your Majesty." Lucien paused. The faintest smile tugged at his lips. Foreign, dangerous. "Most people don't speak to me that way." "Then most people are afraid," she said, finally meeting his gaze. "I'm just curious." He stepped closer, every instinct screaming don't. Curious of what? Of the man beneath the monster. Her words cut through his armor, clean and precise. He looked away. "There is no man left." "Maybe," she whispered. "Or maybe you've just forgotten how to be him." Something in his chest cracked. A soundless, painful thing. For the first time in centuries, the king didn't know what to say. And as the sun spilled over the horizon, his shadow fell over hers, perfectly aligned. Chapter 5, The Defiance of the Mortal. The following night, the palace trembled. Lucien had forbidden her from leaving her tower, not out of cruelty but out of fear. Yet there she stood now, in the forbidden gardens, her cloak trailing through moonlit dew. "Do you have a death wish?" he growled, stepping from the shadows. She turned slowly, unflinching. "You said the moon blesses your kind. I wanted to see it for myself." He stalked closer. "You disobeyed me." "I don't belong to you," she said. Those words, simple, human, hit like a blade to the heart. No one had spoken to him like that since, before the curse. "You think this place is safe?" he said, his voice rough. "There are beasts here older than kingdoms." Her chin lifted. "Then let them come. At least I'll see the sky before they do." He froze. Something ancient stirred in the air, a whisper of wind, a shimmer of silver across her skin. The moon's mark glowed faintly at her throat. His pulse roared. "Who are you?" "I don't know," she said softly. "But when you look at me it feels like you do." The bond surged, sharp, electric, undeniable. His claws extended, not in anger but instinct. He could smell the truth now. Her soul carried the same echo as the mate he lost. And that terrified him more than any blade. "Go inside," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Before I forget what mercy feels like." She didn't move. "Then remember." Lightning split the sky, sudden and wild. The scent of her lingered even after she was gone. Chapter 6, The Point of No Return. The castle walls shook that night, not from war but from the call. Lucien paced his chambers, every sense aflame. Her presence had burrowed into him, beneath claw and curse. He could taste her heartbeat like a secret he wasn't meant to know. Then, a scream. He was moving before he thought. The east tower, her scent sharp with fear. He tore through the doors just as shadows coalesced in the room. A wraith, black smoke, eyes like burning coals, hissed as it reached for her. Lucien didn't hesitate. His beast broke free. The air exploded with fury and flame, claws, teeth, a roar that shattered glass. When the smoke cleared, he stood over the creature's corpse, chest heaving, eyes gold and feral. Elara was on the floor, trembling, not from fear of the monster but from awe. "You saved me," she whispered. He turned toward her, half-shifted, blood steaming on his claws. "You shouldn't have been here. But you came." For a moment, time fractured. The scent of her skin mingled with the metallic tang of blood. His wolf leaned closer. "Claim her." Lucien fought it. "You don't understand," he rasped. "Every time I touch you, the curse tightens its hold." "Then let it," she said. Because for the first time since I came here, I'm not afraid. Her hand brushed his face, gentle, human, real. And for the first time in centuries he didn't pull away. The curse howled. The bond ignited. And as the moon rose high above the ruins of his restraint, the king who had forgotten how to feel, finally did. Chapter 7, The Forbidden Touch. The night after the attack, the citadel fell unnaturally silent. Even the wolves in the valley dared not howl. Lucien had locked himself away, not out of duty but out of fear. Every inch of him still burned where her hand had touched his skin. The curse thrummed under his flesh, a restless, aching hunger that tasted like blood and memory. He'd sworn to never take another mate. Sworn it to the moon herself the night his first love died screaming in his arms. But this girl, this fragile mortal, was unraveling that vow thread by thread. A knock echoed at his door. "Elara?" His voice came out rougher than he intended. The door opened. She stepped in, pale in the candlelight, wrapped in a cloak far too large for her small frame. "You've been avoiding me. I'm protecting you." "From what?" she whispered. He turned away. "From me." She crossed the room, stopping just behind him. "Then tell me why it hurts to be near you. Why I feel something in my blood when you look at me." He didn't answer, couldn't. Her hand touched his back, over the scars that marred his spine. The world stilled. "Because you were never meant to be mine," he said finally, voice hollow. "And yet, the gods were cruel enough to let me want you anyway." When he turned, his hand found hers before reason could stop him. The moment their skin met, his sigil, the mark of the Lycan King, flared gold against his chest. A bond older than magic sang between them. Elara gasped. "What is that?" "Fate," he said darkly. "Or damnation." Chapter 8, The Curse Awakens. That night, the palace trembled again, but this time it wasn't from battle. It was the curse awakening. Lucien woke to the scent of iron and smoke. His reflection in the mirror flickered. One moment his own face, the next a monster's, eyes burning gold, veins crawling with black fire. "The bond has been sealed," the whisper came from the dark. "Your heart beats in two bodies now. One will live. One will die." He slammed his fist through the mirror. Shards cut deep, blood blooming red across his knuckles, but the wound sealed before his eyes. The door burst open, Elara, drawn by instinct. "What's happening to you?" He turned toward her, eyes no longer human. "Get out." "Not until you tell me." He roared, not in anger but agony. The sound shook the rafters, primal and ancient. "Elara," he ground out, voice ragged. "Every Lycan King carries a curse, a bond forged in blood and betrayal. Mine was meant to die with her. But you." Her eyes widened. "You mean? You've awakened it." The magic surged, symbols burning on the walls, the air thick with moonlight and pain. She stumbled forward, clutching her chest, a matching mark now glowing at her heart. Lucien caught her before she fell. Their bond pulsed once, twice, then everything went black. When he opened his eyes again, she was unconscious, and something ancient stirred beyond the castle gates. The witches had felt it. Chapter 9, The First Betrayal. By morning the citadel was no longer safe. Lucien stood in the throne room, Elara resting on a couch beside him. His generals and council knelt before him, but their eyes lingered on the girl with open suspicion. "She bears the moon's mark," one whispered. "The same sigil seen in the old prophecies." Lucien's gaze hardened. "You will not speak of prophecy in my hall." But the damage was done. The room reeked of fear. His second-in-command, Garan, stepped forward. "My king, forgive me, but if the witches discover she carries the old blood, they'll come for her, and they'll tear the kingdom apart to do it." Lucien's jaw clenched. "They'll have to go through me first." Garan hesitated, then bowed. "As you wish." But that night, Lucien smelled treachery before he saw it. A familiar scent in the corridor, iron, smoke and betrayal. He reached the eastern gate just as riders vanished into the mist, carrying something wrapped in crimson cloth. A strand of Elara's hair. The witches knew now. Lucien's wolf tore free, rage and heartbreak colliding in one shattering roar. Inside, Ilara woke to the echo of that sound, and the cold realization that her presence had doomed them both. The curse had been reawakened. The hunt had begun. And for the first time in centuries the king of beasts bled, not from battle but from love. Chapter 10, The Weight of Betrayal. The storm had raged for 2 days. Lucien hadn't left the war room. Maps lay torn across the floor, goblets overturned, blood smeared across the stone from his shattered knuckles. The scent of smoke drifted through the hall. His kingdom was burning not from invasion but from fear. They had all heard the whisper now, the mortal girl bears the blood of the moon. And in the space between breaths, his subjects began to doubt. Your people turn against you, came a low voice. Garen, the man Lucien had once called brother. They turn because you let them, Lucien growled. Garen's eyes were cold. You've chained the beast too long, my king. It's time we remember what we are. Lucien's pulse thundered. What we are, he said, stepping closer, is cursed because of what we were. But Garen smiled, and that was when Lucien saw it. The faint silver mark across his throat, a witch's seal. The betrayal burned deeper than any blade. Lucien's claws burst through his fingertips. You sold us out. For freedom, Garen hissed. For a world not ruled by a dying curse and your haunted love. Their clash was a blur of shadow and flame. When it ended, Garen lay broken at Lucien's feet, still breathing but marked for execution. Lucien turned toward the open balcony, rain soaking his hair, eyes burning gold. They've taken her, he whispered. And they will pay. Chapter 11, The Moon's Judgment. The witch's sanctum stood deep in the black forest, a cathedral of bone and light. The air shimmered with old power, the kind that remembered every sin. Lucien entered alone, sword drawn, the scent of Ilara's blood guiding him. She hung suspended in the center of the chamber, wrapped in chains carved with runes. Her skin glowed faintly, her blood awakening the same sigils etched into the walls. At the altar stood the High Witch, her eyes the color of the dying moon. So the king comes crawling, she said. Tell me, Lucien, how many mortals must die before you admit what you are? He leveled his blade at her. Give her back. The witch smiled sadly. You do not understand. The curse you bear, it was never yours alone. The blood of the moon was made to bind the beast, not love it. Lucien froze. You mean? She was born from the same spell that made you, the witch whispered. Her death would unmake you both. Her love would set you free. The chains shuddered, magic roaring between them. Ilara's eyes fluttered open, silver and wild. Lucien, she gasped, don't? The witch raised her hand. Choose Lycan King. Power, or her. Lucien's heart split cleanly in two. For the first time he felt fear, not of death but of loss. He dropped his sword. Take my crown. Take my curse. Just let her live. The witch hesitated, and in that heartbeat of mercy the spell snapped. The sigils flared gold, the forest screamed, and the bond between king and mortal blazed like wildfire. When the light faded, the witch was gone. Ilara collapsed into his arms. But the mark on Lucien's chest had changed, no longer gold but black. The curse had turned. Chapter 12, The Breaking of the King. They returned to the citadel under a blood-red dawn. Lucien carried Ilara through the silent corridors, every step heavier than the last. Her pulse was faint, her mark still glowed, feeding on his strength. He laid her on his bed, the same bed that had once been his cage. Wake up, he whispered. You're safe. But the truth echoed in his mind. One will live. One will die. His wolf paced beneath his skin, snarling and desperate. Let her go. No, Lucien growled aloud. Not again. The door burst open, his healer pale with fear. My king, her heart is slowing. The bond drains her. You must sever it. Lucien stared at the trembling hands before him, at the blade the healer offered. He took it. For a long time he simply stood there, staring at the sleeping girl who had undone him. The blade shook. His breath hitched. Then Ilara's hand rose, weak but certain, resting over his. You won't save me by dying, she whispered. You'll only finish what the curse began. He dropped the blade, fell to his knees. "I don't know how to save you," he said, voice breaking. "You already have," she murmured, eyes closing again. "You stopped being a monster." The moon rose high outside, vast, blood-red. Lucien felt its pull, the ancient promise of the beast. This time he didn't fight it. He howled, a sound that shook the heavens. Not in rage but in surrender. The beast wasn't his enemy anymore. It was his grief made flesh. When he looked down again, Elara's breathing steadied. The curse had not claimed her. Not yet. But the price was clear now. Before the end, one of them would have to pay. Chapter 13. The Storming of the Stronghold. The night smelled of blood and smoke. Lucien stood before the gates of the enemy citadel, an obsidian fortress carved into the mountain's heart. Behind him, the remnants of his army waited, battered but unbroken. Wolves of every rank, bloodied yet loyal, gazed toward their king in silence. He no longer wore his crown. Only the black leathers of war, torn and scorched. The mark on his chest, the black brand of the curse, burned with every heartbeat. "She's inside," murmured his second in command. "They'll kill her if we move too soon." "They'll kill her if I wait," Lucien said. Lightning cracked across the clouds. For the first time he didn't command his army, he led it. The gates shattered beneath his claws. His wolf surged forward, half flesh, half shadow, a monster reborn not from rage but love. His roar tore through the halls as steel clashed and men screamed. Every swing, every strike carried the same thought: find her. He reached the high chamber at dawn. There she was, bound in chains of silver, her body still, her heartbeat faint. And beside her, the witch matriarch herself, Morgoth, her voice smooth as wrought. "You've come far, Lycan," she purred. "Too far. Do you even know what she is?" Lucien raised his sword. "Mine." Morgoth smiled. "No, my dear king. She's your ending." Chapter 14. The Heart of the Curse. The moonlight poured through the shattered dome. Elara hung limp in her chains, her blood glowing faintly with silver fire. Morgoth circled her, eyes gleaming. "Long ago the moon goddess split one soul in two, the beast and the light. You were born of the beast, she of the light. Together you are perfection and destruction." Lucien's breath faltered. "If I save her? Then the curse ends, but your soul burns away with it. And if I kill her? The beast lives forever. A cruel symmetry. Life for love or love for life." Lucien's sword fell to the ground. He approached Elara slowly, every step trembling under the weight of choice. Her eyes opened, weak, glowing with tears. "Lucien," she whispered, "please, don't let them make you a monster again." He reached up, brushing her cheek, and the curse flared like wildfire. Images flooded his mind, every death he'd caused, every soul he'd broken, the woman he lost centuries ago. All of it led to her. He closed his eyes, a single tear cutting through the ash on his face. "I am done with being a beast," he said. "If my life ends her suffering, then let the moon take me." With one final breath he shattered the chains. The power struck like lightning. The runes burst, the castle shook, and the curse roared awake, devouring him first. Elara screamed his name as the dark flames swallowed him whole. Chapter 15. The Death of the King, the Birth of the Man. Silence. The battlefield was gone. The world still. Lucien stood beneath a vast silver sky, naked and bleeding light. The moon hung low, immense, alive, and in her light stood Elara, glowing brighter than ever before. She touched his chest where the black mark had burned. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "You let love make you free." He tried to speak but no sound came. The light tore through him, beautiful, unbearable. "Don't," she said softly. "This isn't goodbye." Her hand pressed to his heart. A warmth spread through his chest, the curse unraveling. He felt his wolf's final breath, felt centuries of pain turn to dust. Then, light. When the dawn came, she was gone. And Lucien Draven lay on the cold stones of his ruined throne room, mortal once more, the curse lifted, but his heart broken. He whispered into the silence, "You didn't just save me, you taught me to live." Outside, for the first time in 500 years, the sun rose. Chapter 16, The Hollow Crown. The throne room lay in ruins. Ash floated in the dawn light like dying stars. Lucian sat amid the rubble, head bowed, fingers tracing the broken crown that once marked his reign. His claws were gone, his power stripped, and for the first time in centuries his heartbeat felt human. He should have felt free. Instead he felt empty. Every echo in the hall was her name. Every breath carried the ghost of her scent: moonlight, jasmine, rain. The kingdom whispered of miracles, but he heard only silence. His generals awaited orders. None came. He no longer had the strength to rule through fear, nor the will to rule at all. By the time the sun bled behind the black hills, he rose, leaving the shattered crown behind. The halls watched him go, a ghost among ghosts. In the forest beyond the keep, beneath the silver birches, he sank to his knees. "Was this your plan, Moon?" he rasped. "To give me love, only to take it away?" No answer came, only the sigh of the wind through the trees. Still, as the night deepened, he swore he heard her voice, soft as breath. "Lucian?" He looked up sharply, nothing but darkness. Yet something inside him stirred. Chapter 17, The Whisper Beneath the Moon. That night, the moon rose full, pale, unblinking, watching. Lucian hadn't prayed in centuries. But he did now. He walked to the lake at the forest's heart, where the water reflected the sky so perfectly it felt like stepping into the heavens. He knelt, fingers grazing the surface, and the reflection rippled. Her voice came again, clearer this time. "Why do you mourn what was never truly lost?" His heart lurched. Alara? A shimmer danced upon the lake. A woman's shape formed, ethereal, glowing. But her eyes were different, ancient, endless. It wasn't Alara. It was the moon goddess herself. "You broke the curse," she said softly. "But the soul you loved was not destroyed, only reborn." Lucian's breath caught. Reborn? She walks the earth once more, mortal, free. Without memory of chains or blood. He stumbled back. "Then, she lives." "Yes." The goddess smiled faintly. "Because of you." Lucian's chest ached, hope and heartbreak woven together. "And she remembers nothing?" "Not the pain. Not the love. She was remade in light, untouched by your darkness." The truth cut deeper than any blade. He turned away, tears glistening in his eyes. "Then let her be free. She deserves peace, even if I burn without her." The goddess's light shimmered once more. "That is why she loved you." Chapter 18, The Name Remembered. Days became weeks. Lucian wandered the borderlands as a nameless man. No crown, no title, only a wolf carved into his pendant. He helped villages rebuild, hunted beasts that threatened the weak, asked nothing in return. The people whispered of the wandering king. He only smiled and moved on. Then one twilight he heard laughter. A sound so familiar it stopped his heart. Across the meadow, beneath an oak tree heavy with silver blossoms, stood a woman. Her hair caught the dying light like spun gold. She turned, and the world stopped. Alara. Alive. Smiling. Unaware. She was speaking to a group of children, her voice soft as song. For a moment Lucian only watched, afraid to breathe. He took a step forward, then stopped. He had no right to disturb her peace. He turned to leave. But then, "Lucian?" Her voice, uncertain, trembling. He froze. Slowly he turned. Her eyes were wide, shining with recognition. The wind carried the scent of moonlight and rain. The mark on his chest, long dormant, flared faintly, not with pain but warmth. "Do I know you?" she whispered. Lucian's throat tightened. "Once," he said softly. "In another life." Pause. Then her hand rose, brushing the air as though touching a memory. And just like that, everything changed. She smiled. "I remember." The wind carried her words through the trees, and the moon shone brighter than ever before. Chapter 19, The Memory of Fire and Moonlight. The world stilled around them. Lucian could barely breathe as Alara's gaze searched his face, that same gaze that had haunted his nights, that had once silenced a curse with a single touch. "You remember?" he whispered, afraid to believe. Ilara's eyes shimmered, half tears, half moonlight. Not all of it, only flashes. But a crown. The feel of your hand when everything was burning. She stepped closer and his heart roared in his chest. And I remember the sound of your voice. It called me back. He wanted to fall to his knees. Instead, he caught her hand, the same hand that had once glowed with the moon's fire. The mark upon his chest answered, blazing softly beneath his shirt. The mark of the true mate. Ilara, you died in my arms, he rasped. I know. She looked past him toward the rising moon. And yet, the goddess let me find you again. Why? The wind whispered through the grass. Lucian's voice broke. Because love isn't a curse, it's the only thing that ever set us free. For a heartbeat, the air between them shimmered, moonlight weaving around their fingers like silk. The bond reawakened, no longer forged in blood but in forgiveness. She smiled faintly. Then let's begin again. And when their lips met, the bond that once destroyed them now healed the last wound of the world. Chapter 20 The Call of the Wolves. By dawn the howls began. At first distant, a morning song. But as the sun rose the tone shifted, a cry of hope, answered by hundreds more. Lucian and Ilara stood at the balcony of the ruined keep. Below, wolves of every pack had gathered, their eyes reflecting the dawn. For centuries they'd known only fear of the Lycan King. Now they knelt. The curse that had darkened their realm had lifted. No blood burned under the moon's gaze. No oath tore a heart apart. Ilara stepped forward. Her hair danced in the light, her eyes silver as moonfire. They are not beasts, she said softly. They are children of the moon like us. They deserve a world not ruled by fear but by choice. Lucian turned to her, the woman he once caged who now stood as his equal. Then we will build it together, he said. A kingdom not of chains but of loyalty freely given. The moon shone brighter. The air trembled. And as the wolves lifted their heads to the sky, their howls wove into one, a chorus of rebirth. The bond between king and queen sealed not by command, but by devotion. Chapter 21 The Queen of Beasts. The night of the blood moon returned, but this time, it was not a herald of death. The temple of the moon goddess gleamed atop the mountain. Thousands gathered below, wolves, witches and humans alike, to witness what no prophecy had foreseen, the crowning of the Lycan King and his mortal queen. Lucian stood before the altar, his dark armor replaced by silver-threaded robes. When Ilara approached, cloaked in white and moonlight, every head bowed. The goddess's voice filled the air, ancient and gentle. Once your love defied fate. Now it defines it. Ilara took Lucian's hand. Together they knelt. The moon's light enveloped them, warm, endless. When they rose, twin crowns rested upon their heads, his forged of shadow and light, hers of crystal and flame. The mark upon their chests pulsed once in perfect harmony. Lucian turned to his people, voice carrying like thunder over the peaks. No more kings of fear. No more queens of sacrifice. Only a pack that stands together beneath the same moon. The wolves roared their approval. The night erupted with song. And when Lucian looked at Ilara, truly looked, he saw not a fragile mortal, nor a savior, nor a curse. He saw the heart that had changed him. The beast knelt before love. The king bowed to his queen. Above them, the moon blazed brighter than it ever had, no longer weeping but watching over a world reborn. Love had not destroyed them. It had remade them. And under that endless light they ruled, eternal, unbroken, together. Chapter 22 The Dawn That Never Was. It had been years since the blood moon burned the sky. Now dawn had returned to the Lycan realm, not just the pale glow of twilight but true sunlight. Lucian still remembered the first morning it broke the horizon. The light was too bright. Too honest. It washed the shadows clean from the castle walls and he had stood there, the once feared Lycan King, unable to look away. For centuries he had lived beneath a curse that feared the day. Now sunlight streamed across his hands, warm, golden, merciful. Ilara's laughter echoed from the courtyard below, where pups played among the gardens that once grew only thorns. He leaned on the balcony rail, watching her move, radiant, mortal, ageless in spirit. The kingdom no longer whispered her name in fear. They called her Mother Moon Reborn. He smiled faintly. "You've turned wolves into dreamers," he murmured. She looked up, hearing him somehow, and smiled back. "No," her voice drifted up, soft as morning wind. "We turned them into people again." Chapter 23 The Weight of Forever. That night, the moon rose full. The same silver light that once burned now glowed gentle across their faces. Lucien sat beside the hearth, Ilara curled against him. Her head rested on his chest, her breathing soft, steady. "Do you ever think about it?" she asked quietly. "The curse." The night it ended. Lucien's eyes lingered on the fire. "Every time I close mine." She smiled, that same teasing spark that once dared him to feel. "And what do you see?" He hesitated. "You. In the light. Calling me back." Silence stretched between them, comfortable and infinite. Ilara traced the mark over his heart, the one that still pulsed faintly even now. "Do you think the moon will ever test us again?" He turned his head, pressing his lips to her hair. "If she does, I'll find you again. In every lifetime." The fire flickered. Outside, wolves howled, not in mourning but in song. Chapter 24 The Legend of the Silver King. Generations later, they still spoke of the Lycan King who tamed the curse. Some said he turned to stone when his mortal love passed, waiting for the moon to wake her again. Others swore they'd seen him wandering the forest on nights of silver mist, a tall figure cloaked in shadow, watching over the packs that bore his crest. But those who listened closer, who followed the whisper of the wind, told another story. That beneath the ancient castle, by the river where moonlight never fades, two figures rest side by side. And when the moon rises full and the wolves sing her name, the air itself trembles, as if the goddess smiles upon them. Ilara, the mortal who defied fate. Lucien, the beast who learned to love. Their love became legend. Their legend became faith. And long after crowns had crumbled and kingdoms turned to dust, the moon still rose over their realm, a reminder that even beasts could be saved and that love, once given freely, could outlive death itself. For under the moon's eternal gaze, the beast and his queen remained, not cursed, not bound, but finally endlessly free.